Welcome to Campfire Chronicles, episode 27. Really quickly, if you have not checked out our Patreon page, please consider doing so. For only $2 for every full episode, you get access to weekly updates, live streams, and behind-the-scenes bloopers, commentaries, all sorts of good stuff. And with that, let's get into the episode.
Yes. So what are we talking about today, Andrew?
I don't think we've talked since Hawaii, so I think that's going to be like one of the main topics.
We haven't talked since Hawaii?
Well, not...
well, that's probably for the best because we spent a lot of time together in Hawaii. That's for sure.
I was going to say not with the channel, but that's almost kind of accurate besides like meeting up for Picard and stuff.
Absolutely. So Adventure Archives is dead.
But yeah, Hawaii was awesome. So we went to Hawaii mid-December. Mm-hmm. As some of you already know, we were planning a big like backpacking trail on the Kalalau Trail, but unfortunately got rained out.
As is appropriate. But it's not just any rain. They actually had to shut down the park because of the rain.
Yeah.
And officially, we had to turn around. We don't even have an excuse. They said you could stand here and then turn around when you're done.
Which is kind of like, it made it a little less painful, the fact that we were forced to do it. Mm-hmm. And we were even talking about, as we were hiking out, like the sun started coming out and we were like, oh man, like maybe we should have just stayed. But
the next 2 days of rain in the hotel made us reaffirm that was the right decision.
It even rained sort of as we were on the bus out. Yeah. So anyway, I guess what are your general thoughts about Hawaii? Like,
I'm glad that we did what we did, and I don't know how much we want to spoil, but we ended up taking in several different aspects of Kauai itself.
Yeah.
I think, in hindsight, if I were to choose, I would have rather have done the full backpacking trip than jump around like we did.
Yeah, because we still would have had time to do some stuff.
Yeah. Now, granted, we did a lot of other cool things, and I don't think anything would have beat sleeping on the beach like we did that one day, except we would have slept on the beach if we had backpacked. Yeah. So, I don't know.
The trail would have been really cool.
In hindsight, I really wish we were able to do that trail.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
It's funny because this is definitely not the first time this has happened with our videos, like where we've gone somewhere and it has not at all turned out the way we expected it to. And it's always kind of like, it's this weird added stress because Robby and I at the time were talking about how like we weren't really stressed about the fact that we couldn't do the trip because like if you removed the filming aspect from it, it would have just been like, okay, we're still in Hawaii, like we're still having a good time. But it's like sort of this added pressure to want to put together a cool adventure like in the form of a video.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had the benefit of we had to drive everywhere, and when you drive you don't necessarily film things, so you get a lot of breaks in between filming.
Yeah, that's true.
Which kind of eases the burden, I think, a bit.
It's funny also because the backpacking trip was canceled, we were all kind of, or at least me and Robby were worried that like we wouldn't have enough footage. And so far as we're editing it, like the raw cut was like an hour and 40 minutes. So
really,
there's like a ton of stuff that we have to trim. Yeah.
So I think this episode more than any other is going to be more of a here's a tour guide of Kauai rather than here is following us in the moment on a trail.
But I think so far it has sort of that same like road trip kind of feel. Yeah.
Good.
And actually Robby made these cool like driving map sequences. So
good.
It kind of ties everything together.
Because those, you really need a map to understand this episode.
Yeah,
I think that's the important part. But
here's a question for you because I know both of us have been there before. Everyone else had never been there, but before when you had been to Hawaii, it kind of stuck with you, right? Like because at least that was my experience. Like for whatever reason. I even had like a fever when I was in Hawaii the first time I was there, but it still stuck with me as this like really, I don't know, impactful vacation.
And
for
you
whatever
didn't
reason.
Get that on this trip?
Well, actually, I was gonna say I think I still did to some extent, where I'm like thinking very fondly about it.
I'm in a little bit of different shoes.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought too much about it, but if I were to put a reason to it, it would be because the first trip, I severely underestimated how awesome Hawaii was going to be. And so I was just blown away. I also wasn't there for work. We didn't have any real things we needed to accomplish. And everything had already been planned out. This trip things were it was technically for work. We had work to do. Things did not go according to plan, and we really didn't spend that much time on the beach. We didn't really spend a lot.
That is true, actually.
We
didn't ever just go to the beach and relax.
Right. We did a lot of planning, and then we would go someplace.
Yeah.
We would hike. We'd film. It was all work. No matter what, you're in Hawaii, so it's nice work, but it was still work. Whereas that first trip to me, it was adventure. It was relaxing. It was the perfect combination of everything.
For some reason, I just have super fond memories of just hanging out at the hotels and going to that store and getting the poke and stuff. Those seem like super mundane moments, but for some reason, I mean, maybe that's because those were the moments where we were relaxing. But that is kind of what sticks out in my mind. But I don't know, because I left thinking there were still aspects of this that weren't the first time I went there.
Yeah.
I don't know though. For whatever reason, it's still I think back very fondly about this trip.
Interesting. I might just need more time to comprehend it and then watch the video that you guys put together. Yeah, because I haven't watched anything.
That might be.
And
part of it.
You're seeing the video that you're editing on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, Robby and Andrew do all the video editing. I don't help anymore.
You make side videos still.
No, I don't.
Well,
I will.
In theory, I guess.
I will.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for later today.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's what was your favorite and least favorite part about this trip? That's a good.
Why don't you start that off, and then I'll come up with an answer while you talk.
I also need to think about it. Least favorite was probably. I mean, I think the least favorite was maybe just the fact that we were not able to do the whole backpacking trip and just dealing with sort of the anxiety around that. Mm-hmm. Favorite, I don't know. I think is just I feel like I have a lot of fond memories in the last few days where we're getting ready to go to the luau and stuff. Yeah. I don't know why, but
my favorite memory, it's a tie between two. I took maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours when we camped on the beach and just walked up the coast for as long as I could. I think I probably walked 2.5 miles
in the morning,
and then 2.5 miles back. Yeah. Oh, wow. And it was awesome just collecting seashells and being very aware that I was on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. To me, that was incredible.
Yeah.
The second that it kind of ties with was when we were in the canyon, and we were at the top. We climbed to the top of the water. We climbed down to the top of the waterfall.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of went at my own pace, but I had hiking poles, and I felt like finally I can go hiking again because I didn't really get to. I'm not a big backpacker, and if you watch the show, you realize that. But I was able to go with my pack, with my small pack, go at the pace I wanted, and still get that sense of adventure that I really miss having left California.
This was the first day hike we did, right? The one with the waterfall and the coffee plant that was on Sacred.
No, this was in the canyon, Waimea Canyon.
Oh, right.
Remember we drove up to the top?
Oh, yeah, you were going fast.
Right, and then because that was also the trip where I picked up those hitchhikers, drove them a couple miles back.
So the whole time as we're coming back, Robby is he was keeping up with you for a bit, I think.
Yeah, and then I was like, you guys are too slow, so I just kept going.
And so then he just stopped and waited for the rest of us, and we caught up and we're like, yeah, where's Thomas? He's like, I have no idea. He just zoomed off. And we get to the end of the trail and we see, I think...
I moved the car.
Yeah. Well, first we were like, where's the car? And then we saw you. Mm-hmm. And then you go, yeah, I took some hitchhikers down the street. We were like, what? Yeah. How did you have time to do that?
I was there about a good 10 minutes before you guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just the power of hiking overtook me, and I needed to go fast.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Got to go fast.
The least favorite aspect was dealing with the hotels, because I didn't trust them at first. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Because they were so...
They tried to get you to buy a timeshare.
Yeah, they tried to get you to buy a timeshare.
Yeah, that was my least favorite part, actually.
Yeah, and the deals were so good that I was so skeptical that everything was going... to me, there was a catch-22 in the back of my mind. And it ended up... There really wasn't a catch-22, and it was just more in my head, but I'd never been in a situation where we had 3 bedrooms. We had 3 bedrooms for less than $200 a night.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
That's
nuts, yeah.
And that's the thing is, when we go on these road trips, even when we were up to, Adirondacks, for 2 beds, it was maybe $20 more in Hawaii for 3 bedrooms.
Yeah, yeah. And it was not just like a hotel room. It was like
like a condo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is the deal? Like, what am I missing here?
Well, you see, Thomas, when you buy a timeshare. So that is one thing we had to do, like these timeshare tours or whatever, so that we could get a discount on the luau, which was a significant discount.
It's a significant discount, huge, but it's also, you can kind of look at it as it is part of the culture there. My parents had to do the same thing when they went on their honeymoon. A lot of people have to do the same thing now. If you spring and actually like spend $400 a night on a luxury resort, of course you're not going to have to do that stuff. But you're spending $400 a night.
I just think it's funny that we're also talking about like resorts when we are.
I know
the meat and potatoes was like a backpacking trip.
Yeah.
So, no, it was. I mean, but that is like part of what the experience is.
Exactly.
Whether or not that's a good thing, but for better or worse, I guess. Yeah.
And I think I haven't seen the episode yet, but I think that's probably going to be reflected within the episode to some degree. Is my anxiousness on the hotel rooms.
I will say I always have these very specific things that stand out as fond memories, but one of the funnest moments was when we were when was this? I think this was after our first day hike. After like the backpacking trail went under, we were like back in the hotel lobby drinking those Mai Tais during happy hour.
Yes.
Like before going out to eat. Like, I don't know, just that sort of like, just being able to like hang out and chill and not have anything on your mind is really quintessential to that Hawaiian experience.
And I think that's something I got a lot more of on my first trip, because we were in one of those nicer resorts.
Yeah.
And we did have like this little beach to ourselves. And there were, when you go to a beach and you just relax, it's something about Hawaii that you can't get anywhere else that I've tried. And I lived in California, and we could drive to the beach, but there it's just so secluded, so peaceful, and it's the smell. The smell of Hawaii is a real thing.
Yeah. It just smells like
amazing.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but the first time I was ever there was with my friend Jess, and he like made it a point to be like, we should check out some stuff, but we shouldn't like feel stressed out that we have to see everything. He was like, I'm here to be on vacation and we should just relax. And I like, that was, because usually I do travel someplace thinking like I need to have like all these experiences, but that was such a different way to think about it that really worked. Anyway, I don't know.
So, all in all, Hawaii, pretty good.
It was a good time.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So I guess we should also, I wanted to talk a bit about our past trips that have like kind of gone wrong, because actually we have had some questions about that in light of the whole Hawaii
You know, it's
thing.
I forgot about this, but you know what trip did not go according to plan at all that we've kind of forgotten about?
Big Sur?
No, Yosemite.
Oh.
We were supposed to make that a whole loop.
You're right, yeah. It's funny you say that, because I feel like we have had so many more trips like that, but then I try to count them out and I'm like, it's only been like a few. But yeah, there are a lot of...
Almost every trip we've done, there's been something that doesn't go right. Now...
Well, yeah, but sometimes it's a minor thing like rain, and that's sort of just part of it. But
like
yeah,
Adirondacks.
Yeah.
That didn't. I mean, you could watch that video and you probably didn't realize things didn't go according to plan. But that didn't go according to plan.
What went wrong? Oh yeah, we were gonna do the whole loop.
Yeah, we were gonna do that.
And yeah.
Robby and I were gonna go climb a mountain, and we didn't do that, and so then we had to throw a mountain on after the fact.
Yeah, because it was thundering.
Yeah. What was the last one we did before that?
Was it Big Sur?
No, just chronologically.
Oh, not Minister.
The one all four of us did.
Yeah. What's the river? Manistee.
Manistee?
Isn't that one?
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking more of Virginia Highlands. What was the Highlands?
Grayson Highlands?
Grayson Highlands.
Oh, I thought that went according to plan.
That one...
I thought that one went very much according to plan.
It did, but we dealt with that wind that last night, so it wasn't pristine. So I think we need to distinguish: did things not going according to plan, or did things just get rougher than we had expected?
We can do both, but I think not according to plan. But I mean, you do bring up a good point where like I totally forgot the Adirondacks was actually a case where we had to change our plan.
Red River Gorge, when I went, you guys ended up being a day later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
or
just later in the day than we were.
Much later in the day,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we had to readjust our plans accordingly.
Right.
Man of Steel, definitely something happened.
Yeah, the canoe incident. That was probably it's funny because I was thinking about that the other day, and it's a good thing that happened at the end of the trip, but it's also like it almost makes it worse that it happened at the end.
Well, if we look at it, actually, Man of Steel did go according to plan. We did the route we were
Yeah,
supposed
exactly,
to,
exactly.
But so many things happened along the way.
And it's like, it's good it happened at the end, but it's kind of insulting. It's like salt in the wound. Like, we were so close to being done.
The road trip, again, everything
Big Sur.
technically went according to plan.
Well, Big Sur was
Sur
going to be
was
its
not.
own episode. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
It didn't.
Which actually, I was thinking like, were we going to have 3 road trip episodes originally though, or was it going to be?
Yeah.
We were. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was supposed to launch. Big Sur was supposed to launch the road trip.
Okay.
That's right.
So it would have been. It still would have been 3 either way.
It would have been.
including
We
Big Sur.
started in. We would have done just a full episode in Big Sur,
Right.
and then we would have teased the road trip home.
Right. Okay.
But it ended up working out. I think a good chunk of the California episode was in Big Sur.
Yeah. Shenandoah, you weren't on that one.
No, but I
that
know
was
what
another
happened.
case where And it's funny because like, I think maybe we worried more about those things than our viewers because like, a lot of people still like the Shenandoah episode, and a lot of cases where things don't go according to plan, it still turns out fine.
You know which one did go according to plan? Whitney.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
toughest
actually.
one
That is really funny.
is the one that actually went according
That
to
went
plan.
so smoothly.
And that was the one where things could have easily not gone according to plan.
with like,
Serious consequences.
what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's kind of cool because like, even though it's kind of stressful for us, it's like trying to create a video. It's kind of nice in a sense that it like opens up new possibilities. So like, because the Hawaii backpacking trip didn't go according to plan, it's now sort of more of a road trippy episode. But that also like opens up what an episode can be and like allows us to explore other things.
Well,
Like,
go ahead.
No. Well, I just think like the road trip episodes. I think at first I was hesitant to do those as episodes because I'm always like, there's always part of me that's like, I want these episodes to be like very formulaic in a certain way. But I don't know. I watch those ones a lot actually, and I really like that you get to see all these different aspects of a journey.
Exactly. For me, that's like one of the most visceral videos that we've made. Like to me, that I watched it and I feel very nostalgic about it.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm going to offer some terrible advice here when it comes to things not going according to plan. Usually on a backpacking trip, you want to have a solid plan. And that's important. But if you plan everything so much to the nose, it's so much easier for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
And then if you're someone like me and one thing goes wrong, you stress out about everything. So in a lot of hiking instances, it's better just to have a broad plan and be like, I'm going to go here, and I know I'm coming back this day.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in this area. It's important someone know, but we don't have to be on this trail and get off this trail this time, and we don't have to spend a night exactly in this campsite. We can be either in that one or this one and have backup plans. So, piece of advice when you're camping, don't make a strict plan. Definitely have a plan, but not a strict plan.
And it's especially nice when you're in a place like Dali Sods or another national forest where you are kind of like, where you're not stuck to a permit that you've set, you know? And that kind of goes back to the whole thing where like, especially if you're not worrying about filming an episode, like then it's like, what's the point of worrying, you know? Unless you're actually in danger, it's like, if the plan goes wrong, but you're still having a good time, then you might as well not stress too much about it.
Exactly. As long as no one is in serious risk, you're good.
Because like I remember we got off of the shuttle on the way back from that backpacking trail, and the really nice worker, Thierry, I think.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that it didn't go according to plan." And I was thinking like, well, it's like, we can't really complain.
Yeah.
Like we're on an island in Hawaii. Like,
Oh no,
what can you
looks
possibly...
like we have to spend an entire week in Hawaii.
Yeah, I told my Kung Fu instructor that I was going to Hawaii, and he was like, "Oh man, that's a bummer."
Very, very good discussion there. Do we want to talk about maybe just some broad updates in our lives?
Sure.
And see what's going on, because it's been a minute since I think both of us have been on camera together.
That's true, yeah.
Probably going back to October or November or so, maybe even before then.
Actually, last time we filmed Campfire Chronicles was in November, and you were not there for that.
I was not.
Yeah, what's up in your life?
So, if you If you're a Patreon subscriber, you've probably already seen her, but there's someone new important in my life, and her name is Sierra. She's a golden retriever. She's about 45 pounds, and she'll be moving with me down to Texas, which, by the way, I'm moving to Texas come July. So, as sad as the guys are, they're not sad. To see me not being around for some of the more
We're
local
not happy
trips.
about it, though.
We're neutral. Yeah, so some of those older videos I made when I was in California, they're not going to be in California, but they're going to be in Texas. And I won't be alone. I'll have my golden with me.
And you were saying we should really go to, what was it, Carlsbad?
I would love to go to Carlsbad. I don't know how much we can actually film in Carlsbad,
right.
but to me, it's one of the most impressive, overwhelming national parks I've ever been to.
Yeah.
But we should go near Big Bend National Park.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
cool.
right on the Mexico-Texas border.
You know, that reminds me of what's the guy in Mandalorian's name? The German guy.
Oh,
Why can't I think?
No.
No, not Hans Zimmer, but why can't I remember his name suddenly?
We quoted him so much when we were in Hawaii.
German filmmaker. Anyway, he has a filmmaking school. He's a guy who goes, bounty hunting is a complicated profession. But
Why can't I think of his name?
he's a big filmmaker. We're just brain farting right now, but his film school apparently teaches nothing about how to film, and it teaches stuff about how to forge a permit and how to break open locks and stuff. Because I guess when he's done films in the past, he's just kind of bypassed rules and stuff to get the shot. I'm like,
Yeah.
good for that guy.
Good for that guy. It wouldn't work for us.
Yeah. What is his name? I'm gonna look that up real quick.
I think there's a W somewhere.
There's a W. Yeah. Why can't I?
So yeah, I'll be moving to San Antonio, Texas. I'll be finishing up my graduate degree in May and taking a few months off. Hopefully filming some stuff for Adventure Archives along the way.
Werner Herzog, of course.
Werner Herzog. Yeah. Okay.
How did we forget that?
So I may be asking the Adventure Archives community for some advice and for maybe some help for this trip. So right now I'm thinking about taking a road trip across America with the dog, and then maybe going to Japan, Korea, or Europe.
Oh yeah, you were talking about wanting to travel around a lot.
Yeah, for a few months.
Yeah.
Because I graduate end of April, and then I start my job in July.
It would be awesome to do another episode in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That is one episode that miraculously turned out really well and went according to plan. Because we went there without really even a solid plan. I think Robbie's friends were planning something, but it could have turned out super snowy. But anyway.
True. Or New Zealand, I don't know.
Oh yeah, we've never done that too.
I know the language they speak in New Zealand, so that might help. Anyway,
you can speak New Zealander.
Yes. So anyway, that's what's going on in my life, and hopefully you'll be seeing some videos with me and Sierra soon.
Cool.
Because she's a good girl. What about you? Any new updates with you? I noticed that you've been punching things a lot more in these videos. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone knows about my kung fu obsession by now, but
By the way, kudos to you.
Oh, thank you.
I remember on a very chilly New Year's Day.
Nordhaus Dunes.
Yeah, we were talking about New Year's resolutions, and you said, I want to get more into kung fu.
Did I actually say that?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
I remember you'd been talking about that. I don't know if it was specifically
Okay.
on camera, but I know you had been talking about it that day.
Ah.
And, 2 trips to New York and a few black belts later. I don't even know if black belts are a thing in kung fu.
Not in this. I mean, in some there are, but no. And also, I'm nowhere near that. But well, it's funny because learning something is such a tumultuous process. When you first start out, you learn so much, and you're like, wow, I'm learning so much in such a short amount of time.
Give the audience some context here. How many days a week do you go to kung fu?
I try to go. I go to 3 days a week, but 2 of those days have 2 classes.
Okay,
so I try to go for 5 classes a week.
5 classes a week, and how long is a class?
An hour long or so.
Okay,
yeah.
so 5.
Although the one on Saturday is 2 hours. So.
All right, so 6 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's
now I am also getting private training from my instructor with one other student on Wednesday.
7 hours a week.
But it's funny because
that is a full work day,
But you're constantly running into moments where you're like, I have learned nothing. Like you actually have, but like you're always running into those moments where you're like, oh man, I'm back to square one with anything that you would practice, whether it's kung fu or something else. But like recently, I sparred a guy and like.
What is sparring? I don't know what that means.
Sparring is just like kind of light fighting. Like you put on pads and you fight, but like a fully resisting opponent. And at first I didn't do so well. So what happened? Well, yeah. What happened is he was basically hitting me in the face like way harder than I thought he would. I had a mouth guard on and stuff, but like my nose even bled.
Yeah, I remember you said
so
that.
I think that kind of like mentally put me in like a weird state. But eventually I was able to like improve, and I was able to get him back in the face a few times. He was wearing a mask.
Yeah. Sounds like you need to wear a mask next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and don't hold back. If he hits hard, then you hit hard.
Well, see, it's funny because it's like there are just moments where it's like, oh wow, like that's actually what it's like. And you just realize how much more you have to learn in moments like that. But anyway.
So let me ask you, how is that tied into your experience outdoors? Has it at all? Is there any connection between hiking and kung fu?
You know, I think there are several connections. Like you could look at just purely the physical fitness aspect and like because I hike, I think because a lot of times you're on a trail and it's kind of on like a weird slope, right? And so you have to use your muscles in your feet and your legs to maintain.
So you're talking more. There's a physical connection between the two.
Well, I think there's also like sort of a philosophical one. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is I've noticed a lot of people who are really into kung fu talk about it the way I talk about the outdoors, where it's like they see it more as just a hobby and see it almost like this philosophical kind of lifestyle thing, where they're like, you know, the principles of this style that I'm learning apply to the rest of my life. And I like when I think of the outdoors, I'm like, well, the sort of things that you do while you're backpacking have lessons for the rest of your life.
Okay. I wonder how much of that could be applied just to any any hobby or any art form. To a degree. I don't know if I call outdoor hiking an art form, but you could argue that it is to some degree.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. Okay.
Anyway.
And do we want to talk about one other somewhat uneventful, motionless, sensory deprived event in our lives?
I forgot. Yeah. We should talk about
that. Go ahead. Talk about
No, go.
Well, I will. So
I totally forgot about that. We're like the Joe Rogan podcast now.
Yes. So long story short, been wanting to try this for a while, forgot about it, and then I had a professor talk about it. And sure enough, we got tickets. I don't know tickets. We were able to do a sensory deprivation chamber simultaneously, not together.
As a group,
We didn't get naked in the same pod together, but we went in.
Because you had a Groupon.
Yeah.
It was like really cheap.
It was like $40.
Yeah.
About $45 or so. So for those of you who are uninitiated with the sensory deprivation chamber, or floating, as the youth say, it is exactly that. It takes away all your senses and you're just floating.
Yeah, you're like in basically a pod full of really salty water. So you float and it's completely dark.
It's completely dark.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but that's the best. Yeah.
It should be completely dark. You're in a pod, so it takes out all the sound. And then on top of that, you wear little earbuds to cancel out the sound as well.
Yeah.
The water is heated to your body temperature, so you don't really feel the coldness of the water. You're literally just floating in nothing. And the idea of this is that as your senses begin to shut down, your brain waves increase to a degree. And there's science that proves that as you shut down the rest of your body, your brain starts to take over certain aspects. And now, I'm not familiar enough with the science, but this is where interesting things start to happen. You can either start to think about things, let your mind run wild, or you can just be in a state of absolute bliss. But maybe we can talk a little bit about what our experiences were and how we approached it, because I took it a lot more literal when it was sensory deprivation than I think you were able to.
Well, yeah, part of the problem is I had like a mild sinus thing. Like I was getting over a cold, and so like that's kind of what I was fixating on a lot, was just this like mild discomfort in my nose. But.
And just so you guys know, this is not something that's uncommon among the hiking community. A lot of hikers go through sensory deprivation, especially after long hikes.
Oh, interesting. Really?
Yeah. Well, at least that's what I've heard from some PCT hikers.
What's their like? What is, just so they can reintegrate into like civilization, or
No, it's just I think more
just to reflect on?
Yeah, more of the mindset. You know, a lot of people who go hiking are a little bit more into what's going on in my brain.
So it's just kind of
What
like
am I thinking
overlapping
of?
Interests.
True, and it also really does help you relax your muscles. So after you've been on the
that's
trail for 100 miles or so, it's a great way just to sit there and relax. That's one of the first things I noticed about floating was how difficult it was to relax. For me, believe it or not, I have a difficult time relaxing. And so when I got in the tub and I was floating there, I noticed how tense certain muscles were, like how much like, oh, I was making a fist, or I'm flexing my arm right now and I didn't even realize that, or oh, my neck isn't flexed. And so just going through the process of being able to just be like, okay, relax that arm, relax that finger, everything there. So that was one of the first steps I made. I don't know, what were some of your initial thoughts in the first 20 minutes?
So when I first got into the tank, I had the sensation of just like floating through a void, and like it felt like I was almost doing like backflips through space.
Was that it was an hour-long float?
That was in the very beginning.
Right in the beginning, okay.
Because what happened next was what did happen? I think I like, oh yeah, so my pod was a little defected and wouldn't close all the way, and the shower light was still on. It turned off after a while.
Okay.
So I got up to try and like finagle with the door, and then I got like salt water in my eyes.
Oh.
And so then I was like spritzing that. I was like, ugh. And then like, I think I like got some of the steam in my mouth because it was super bitter. So then after like spraying the fresh water on my eye to get the salt out, I was just kind of lying there for a while, and finally like it went away. But
yeah, you did not have a good initial experience.
yeah, I would love to try it again.
Yeah.
There were just a lot of factors.
I think mine was a little bit better in the sense that I didn't do anything. I got in. I found my position. There was some background music playing for the first 5 minutes or so, then it slowly faded away. And then I wanted to move. Like every inch of me was like, you just got to move because you're restless.
Yeah.
And I just told myself, no, don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
It is kind of like meditation, I guess, in that sense, where it's like, I noticed myself feeling relaxed in some moments, but in other moments I was like, I kind of want to get out of here.
Yeah.
And it felt like time was slow and fast at the same time.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. I was like, man, I just want to get up and move around. But I knew if I did, I wouldn't achieve the next step.
Yeah,
there are different steps in this about shutting off different parts of your brain. And it's like the brain is resisting you. It's like, no, you just got to move your finger. Just like move your finger a little bit, make some splashes. You know, you need some stimulation there. But no, if you can get through the temptation of stimulating yourself, then you really stimulate yourself. No.
Thanks, Thomas.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like if you get over the desire to like fidget, like I mean, our minds are always kind of like wanting to get distracted.
Yeah.
And when you get over that, then it's like you get to this mindful place, I guess.
And that's that stimulation I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to try it again when I don't have like a sinus infection.
But let me just talk about a little bit of some of the things that I noticed. Once I was able to kind of shut down the urge to move around a little bit, I started to see some lights, just some very faint, like white lights. I described it as a curtain that would kind of like flutter in the wind. I'd hear voices, kind of in the sense that you hear voices when you're in a fever dream or when you're dreaming.
There was one moment where I heard like voices or something like that.
But it's not... You hear the voices without realizing you're actually listening to them.
I feel like it's almost like your brain is sort of dreaming while you're still awake.
Exactly. And in mine, my voices were like speaking different languages, and
wow.
It was like I was walking through a market.
Well, how clear was it, and how aware were you of it? Because I literally only heard like a distant voice once, and I was like, was that real or what?
Oh, I had no doubt the voices I was listening to were all in my head. Like there was.
But was it like an ongoing thing, like a whole conversation?
You know how you go to a marketplace? And you just hear
that murmur.
You hear like a murmur, like there's always voices. Sometimes you hear one a little bit more pronounced than the other. nothing is really audible though.
Okay.
That's what I heard more in my head.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I heard Spanish. I heard English. Like I said, it just reminded me of being on a street in New York.
I did have moments where, you know how sometimes you have a dream and then you're like falling or tripping and then you jitter. I had moments like that, except not quite as like of a violent movement.
Yeah. I had that too, but
Yeah.
I resisted the urge to move.
Well, I just kind of did it like for subconsciously.
Yeah.
And it was a very slight movement, but every time I did, I would hear like the water just like rushing. Like
I wonder how much that is the brain trying to make something to focus on and like give you some type of, and let's be adults, and when I talk about stimulation, like literally something to focus on, some sensory.
Well, I mean, I have also heard that the brain goes into sort of like an REM sleep kind of state when you're in those pods.
I believe it.
So that might also be it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So I had a few other thoughts, a few other things, just some introspective thinking I'm not going to get into, but the end, about 5 minutes before your time is up, they start to slowly play music. And, okay, this is going to be a little bit dramatic. Bear with me here. It's like the faintest sound first, and you're not even sure if there's a sound or if there is music coming, and then it slowly, over 5 minutes, becomes audible. And about halfway, when you start to notice that it is actually music, and you can start to distinguish like the changes in tones and everything, that's when I allowed myself to start moving again. But I didn't obviously want to jump up and be like, "Bruh." In a sense, I felt like I couldn't move. I felt like moving a finger took all the energy I had in my body. But, I started very simple by moving fingers and then moving hands. And then like I would move to the side and then move to the other side. And then eventually, once the music was clearly starting to come up, I rolled over. And then I could feel the bottom, and I could feel my chest, I could feel my head, all this stuff. And I felt like I was being born again.
For real?
Kinda.
Well, actually, no, I mean, yeah.
Kinda, because
there is this sense where you're back like outside and you're like, oh, wow. Like,
yeah, well, the reason the reason I say that is because I didn't move at all when I got in the tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
And for an hour, you just stand there motionless. And then finding the energy to move just slightly. It to me, that's the weirdest feeling about that experience, was feeling like you've lost the ability to move because you're just telling your body not to move. And then when you have to move again, the energy that it takes to get out of stasis, out of bed. You know how difficult it is to get out of bed?
Yeah.
It's like that, but worse.
But for me, it was almost like there was also an aspect to getting out that felt good. Like, oh, I'm alive again. Like I can move around and be free again.
Once I found that energy, it felt great. Yeah. You're right. But
I will say one of the things that reminded me of was this pose in yoga where I forget what the name is, but it's literally you just lie on the floor and like close your eyes. But like that's usually what they do at the end of yoga sessions, at least based on the 6 classes I took. And they'll like actually guide you through like releasing all the tension in certain parts of your body, like going from your toes to your head. And then when you wake back up or whatever, they kind of like slowly tell you to like start moving your toes and fingertips until like you're moving your whole body. But that is kind of what it reminded me of, is just this like going into this like sleepy kind of state and then coming back to reality.
No, I hear you on that.
Here's a weird question, but how do you find this relating to your outdoors experience in any way, or is it just?
In a sense, yes. After I do this a lot more alone when I hike, and that's one of the reasons why I love hiking alone, is you get to get lost. You get to get lost in your own brain. You focus on something. Your legs are doing all the work, and in a sense, I was able to. It's kind of like this room that my brain gets into when I'm going hiking. Some people might call it like a hiker high or a running high or something. But after maybe an hour or two, and I'm just on the trail, I start to think about something, and just thoughts in my own mind kind of run wild and everything. And this experience was like a back door into that hiker's high. And I feel like there are different ways of getting into that state of mind, and everyone has their own ability to reach it. But this was just one way of getting to that point and looking at it through a different lens. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, totally. I think like in general, a lot of experiences like that and this goes back to the whole kung fu thing or
Yeah.
whatever, but I feel like any experience where you're sort of like breaking away from the routine of everyday life in terms of what you're doing literally, but also like just mentally how your brain usually is like going in autopilot, you know. Anything like that is kind of.
And I'll say this because there's a lot of if anyone listens to this podcast, there's probably a few people out there that are thinking about doing it. And my best recommendation is give it a try, spend the money, try and get a discount. And if it doesn't go according to plan, don't dismiss it because they say it takes a few tries at it to really get it right.
This is why my motto in life is try most things twice.
Yes. Having said that, though, really give it all you can. And if you're uncomfortable, try and stick with it. Just try and not move. It's going to be a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because the first half hour, I felt in a lot of pain.
Yeah, like not literally, but just like you wanted to.
Somewhat literally, yeah. Just because I was like, I need to move. I told you about that bead of sweat that I had going down my.
Oh yeah.
So, this will be my last story on this. Towards the end of my float, I had a bead of sweat come up right around here on my upper lip, and it slowly just worked its way down the side of my face. But because I couldn't hear anything, I couldn't see anything, I couldn't taste or smell anything. Nothing else had any feeling. That's all I could fixate.
Yeah.
And it lasted probably about 5 minutes going down my beard. And man, it was like someone just took the fluffiest pillow and like stuck it right there for 5 minutes and just went like, in reality, it's just any other day's bead of sweat.
Yeah, man, that's funny.
So
weird.
Anyway, that's what's been going on with us. We really don't have a whole lot of engagement from our Patreon donors. Jason Bourgeois is
it's not a good time of day.
Yeah,
it's like afternoon on a weekday, but
most people are at lunch. And,
yeah. Sorry to our patrons who are watching us live right now that we weren't able to do this last night, but
there are 3 of you out there.
Yeah. Well, 4 maybe.
So,
someone's opening. Oh wait, one of them is us.
Jason.
We're one of them, aren't we?
But Jason Bourgeois, if there's ever a gold medal for being the patron saint of live streams, Jason.
Yeah, Jason's awesome. Actually, if anyone else is here, I'd love to see you comment in the live chat. Just
like, what are you gonna like? There's only 4 of us here. No one's gonna know.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
I guess
I'm looking at you, moms.
That is probably who it is.
Your mom, my mom, Jason, us.
Yeah, that probably is what it is actually.
Yeah.
The next thing we could probably talk about is winter camping because, as it's abundantly clear in Columbus, it is a gray. It's cold and drab winter.
It's not even been cold though. It's just been drab.
It's some of the days have been cold, but yeah, it hasn't snowed. Like it hasn't snowed for real.
No, like I would argue it's not even been cold. The coldest I think I've seen it is maybe 18 degrees on a morning when I had to take Sierra out. And that was it.
There were a couple days, but yeah, mostly it's been kind of
right.
Yeah,
20s, 30s, some 50s.
Yeah,
it's broken. Man. It's not good. It's broken.
But anyway, because we were just in Hawaii, we're thinking our next trip might be a smaller trip, like somewhere driving distance, but one where we can kind of like, at least this is what I'm thinking. I would love to do a trip where we can go off trail, because we haven't done that for a while, and just like really be out in the woods.
I don't know if I've ever gone off trail with you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that. Honestly, I was thinking we should go back to Morgan Monroe State Forest. Robby, I feel like for whatever reason doesn't like the idea of that, but
Robbie's Robby.
But I think we should do that because like we can hike on part of the trail, then go off trail, and like I don't know, it's just such a nice feeling to be in the middle of the woods and like be able to like walk wherever you want without being bound to a trail, and just look for a campsite.
I'm in a different mindset. I think we should go as far north to Michigan as we can. Find just a place where we can go snowshoeing. Not really snowshoeing, but some place where we can go and maybe buy a winter tent and just set up camp, stay there for 2 nights, go explore, go hiking, do our own little things for the day. Don't worry about backpacking.
We could do both. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
It'd be
It's different.
I mean, I definitely want to do the thing where we get, whether it's a winter tent or just a big tent, but like where we can all stay in one tent together and like maybe have like a little camping candle type
Yeah.
thing. Like that'd be super cool.
Why don't we do that? We should do that.
No, yeah, we should. Yeah.
I don't know how much a tent costs, but we only need one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we only really need to go 2 miles away from the car, set up that tent, and then it is kind of like that bushcraft you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
You can stay at the campsite. We don't move the campsite for 2 nights, and we just kind of go out and do our own thing.
Yeah. Although I still also want to do an off-trail type thing.
I mean, it's all off trail.
Huh?
It would be all off trail.
Yeah,
Right?
but, well, I don't know. If it's just at like a campsite.
Well, I mean, we define our own campsite.
Okay.
We go off trail. We've set up our own campsite.
Oh, I see. But then you just stay there. Okay, gotcha.
then we go on a hike.
That'd be cool.
Cool.
I don't know.
Anyway.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we
But either way, I'm kind of itching for that like classic, because like at least for Midwesterners, I feel like camping in this kind of weather is a very like relatable experience because it's like gray and drab for like half the year in the Midwest. But it's also like got its benefits where it's nice and cool out. You don't have to worry about bugs or humidity.
That is the nice part.
Yeah, yeah. And usually it's like drier, so there's less rain, hopefully. But yeah, I'm itching for that kind of a classic winter trip.
I hear you. And just because I'm the only one who cares, I'm looking forward to figuring out where I'm going to take Sierra for her first trip.
Oh yeah, actually that would be perfect. Like if we could find a place where she can just run around.
Run around, yeah. The problem right now is it's a little too cold for her. And if it's too cold for her, and she's still very much a puppy, I'm planning on April being her first real trip like that. Now I take her hiking sometimes with me just on the leash, but I'd love to be able to let her off and run around and
Viewers would
and do
probably
stuff.
enjoy seeing that too.
Yes, the viewers, not Andrew.
We would probably take our cat camping if it was actually a feasible thing to do, but that you'd have to like carry it in its own little thing. Like
I've seen those backpacks with the little bubbles on the back.
Those are hilarious. Yeah, that's the way you have to hike with a cat. There is like an Instagram person who's like a scientist, like botanist or something, and she actually takes her cat on hikes.
Really?
But I feel like you have to have like a very special cat that's
Yeah.
willing to do that.
Well, Sierra's a very special dog.
I'm sure she is.
I'm sure she is to you.
No, I like dogs.
No, you don't.
Well, I guess on the topic of winter camping, because I feel like a lot of people I talk to are really hesitant to go out in the winter. They're like, oh, I just don't want to deal with that. But I wanted to talk about like what we find appealing about it. If you even find it appealing. Maybe you don't, because you were in LA for 4 years. So
I got mixed thoughts on winter camping.
I guess, I mean, when have you been winter camping? How often?
Nordhaus,
Oh, right, yeah.
Red River Gorge. And I would argue that Grayson Highlands was also somewhat winter camping. It wasn't
It's still
the
in
coldest.
that sort of period where it's like early spring.
Yeah, it wasn't the cold. Actually, it got
That was
really
March,
cold. Right? Yeah, it got really cold that last night. When we were all huddled in the
it
tent.
got super cold.
Or
yeah.
the lean-to. That's my extent of backpacking in the cold. And I've gone hiking plenty of times in the cold, but
Well, I guess Whitney, in a sense, was kind of like that, even though it's summertime. Like the last campsite, or the one before the summit.
oh yeah, but that I think it went down to 40.
I guess that was just like every season
Yeah.
in the course of a day.
Yeah, when you're that high altitude, it's just going to be that cold. I will be honest, I don't love it.
Okay.
I don't love it. I think it's always so drab outside that it's hard to find a lot of the beauty. The one exception being Red River Gorge. When we were at Hanson's Point, I think the beauty was in how drab it was and how
interesting.
monochromatic it was. Because everything just kind of blended to each other except the rocks. The rocks just jutted out. But it's not the same as when you're, I've seen footage of Red River Gorge in the summertime and it's just green everywhere, and orange, and the sun's out. You can't beat that.
I feel like they each have their appeal, but if I had to choose between that and like camping in a really hot, humid summer day in the Midwest, I would choose winter every time.
Oh, I would choose winter too.
Okay.
Humidity is a whole different game. The one exception to winter camping, and I'll defend this every time, is in the mountains. Think of Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
Like
that
Lake
was
Tahoe.
beautiful.
Oh, that was
It's
so
like a
pretty.
Christmas wonderland.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because you get the the beauty of the Alpines, the evergreens, all there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have like these massive mountains jutting out, and you get this beautiful formations of the snow.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our Lake Tahoe video, check that out in the side videos.
I love our Lake Tahoe video. It didn't get enough views.
Yeah.
I'll stand by that.
Yeah. Tell your grandma to watch it.
Yeah. And even in the micro road trip that we did from Lake Tahoe back to LA, looking at all those frozen lakes.
Well, hiking out of Nordhaus was very wintry. I mean, it's not the same because you're not in the mountains, but I felt like that was pretty nice.
That was pretty nice, yeah. It was cold, though.
Yeah.
I think that was the problem because it was 12 degrees.
Yeah. I do think there's, like, part of the appeal might be just that you have to have grown up in that sort of environment, and, like, there's, like, a nostalgia to it.
I mean, I grew up in that environment.
I don't know.
So maybe there is.
Well, I think for me, actually, the biggest thing is just the fact, because, like, you can be in the same forest in the summer and it can be like overgrown with weeds and like there's no way you're hiking off of the trail. But in the like late fall or winter or early spring, the forest floor is just like clear, like all there are leaves. And like, I don't know, to me, that's just such a different experience where you can just wander out and go anywhere you want. It's so free.
Those ends of the season, the end of summer and fall and early spring.
Yeah.
That's like the sweet spot in the Midwest.
Yeah.
If you could do that we should be filming every weekend there.
The unfortunate thing is those periods of time last so quickly. Ephemeral. It's like,
ephemeral. I like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are my thoughts on winter camping.
It's a mixed bag. But I mean, I do think there is also something really appealing about like sleeping in the winter for whatever reason. But we still have to try it with a winter tent because Robby says that is life-changing.
Yes,
so.
yeah. So I vote that we try that sometime before I leave.
I wonder, I mean, he said the winter tent he used wasn't that much bigger than like one of our tents.
No.
So I wonder if we could get a decent size like 4-person winter tent.
Just just throw it on my back.
Well, no. We were thinking we could like split up all the different things. Yeah.
I'm sure we could.
That's funny though. That is probably something we would like joke about.
There you go, Thomas.
That would be so fun though.
I like it.
Yeah. Just
Just go up like the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. Take a 4-wheel vehicle and figure it out.
Snowmobile. That'd be cool. Well, we've only got.
Let's wrap things up here.
Yeah, let's. We've only got like a few people on Patreon watching, but if any patrons have any questions, now's the time to ask, and we can answer those. But in the meantime,
Jason Bourgeois, again, another shout out to him, said something about me being beardless.
Right.
I'm trying it out.
Do you? Are you trying to keep some scruff, or is that?
No, is there scruff? I shaved.
When
I guess I shaved 2 days ago.
Okay.
Did I shave 2 days ago? No, I shaved yesterday. No, I shaved 2 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I? When did I shave? I shaved on last Friday, I think. Yeah.
But yeah. Thomas, do you feel lighter without the beard? I feel colder.
Oh, so you do notice that?
Oh yeah, definitely. You don't?
I mean, I don't think it makes enough of a difference for me.
I think it would. Let me rephrase it. I think if you were to shave what you have right now and go outside, because of how fresh your skin is and how
it's
open
extra sensitive.
The pores are, it's extra sensitive.
That makes sense.
But yeah, that's why I feel lighter.
Yeah. Any other questions? And if not, then we can wrap this up.
I think it's time to wrap this baby up.
Jason Bourgeois says winter backpacking is a good excuse for hot pot. That is very true. Yeah,
we need to do hot pot.
Yeah, just in general, you mean, or what?
Winter camping hot pot.
Okay, yeah. Actually, that would be perfect for your idea because we wouldn't have to worry as much about hiking with like all that stuff.
Yeah. I like it.
We could even. What if we set up like a base camp and then hiked and set up like just a normal campsite and then hiked back to the base camp,
like a campsite where we sleep or just
so it's still sort of like on a journey, but we still have this base camp to come back to, or we could do that whole cabin thing Bryan was talking about. That'd be cool.
Sounds like a lot of planning.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's coming up on our time here.
All right. Yep. Thank you so much for watching and or listening to this episode.
I hope you've all enjoyed the side of my face while I look up to Andrew.
The Hawaii episode will be coming out soon. If you are a patron, you can watch that early. And you can also get all sorts of other benefits like behind-the-scenes commentaries, bloopers, weekly updates, and live streams. And it's only $2.
And you can just message us. You know how cool it is just to message us?
Yeah,
We're pretty cool.
And we're way less bad about not answering comments on Patreon.
Yes.
So, yeah, sorry about that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
All right.
All right, well, better put out this campfire. Do we still say that anymore?
Did we ever say that?
I think we did, like, at first.
I think the original inception of this was that we would have an actual campfire and just, like, talk philosophy the way we do at a campsite. But, yeah.
All right.
Let's
We'll see you guys. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.